The screen turned red before anyone spoke. Not flashing, not blinking, just solid, violent red. Differential settlement threshold exceeded. For a second, no one breathed. My name is Bramwell Hale. I'm a structural engineer. I specialize in deep foundations and high-rise load distribution. I've spent 11 years calculating how much weight the Earth can hold before it gives way. And 3 weeks ago, I told them this building would move. Now the skyscraper was tilting. The live monitoring dashboard projected against the glass conference wall showed it clearly. Southeast corner settlement accelerating. 18 millimeters, 21, 24. Across the table, Gregory Voss, lead architect, industry golden boy, keynote speaker at every design summit, stared at the numbers like they were written in a foreign language. "That can't be right," he muttered. But it was. The city inspector leaned forward. "Is this within tolerance?" Silence. I felt every pair of eyes shift toward me. I didn't want this moment. I prayed it would never come, but I'd prepared for it. "It's outside projected tolerance," I said carefully, "and it's accelerating." Someone near the back whispered, "Oh my God!" Gregory straightened, regaining that polished confidence he wore like armor. "Settlement happens in new construction," he said smoothly. "We anticipated minor deviation." I didn't look at him, because I remembered the last time I'd tried to explain this in this exact room, 3 weeks earlier. Same table, same screen, different tone. 3 weeks earlier, I was halfway through slide 12 when Gregory cut me off. "Bram," he said with a tight smile, "are we really redesigning a $400 million foundation because of hypothetical clay compression?" A few people chuckled. I kept my voice steady. "It's not hypothetical. The southeast quadrant shows saturated clay beneath pile depth. If groundwater shifts..." He raised his hand like I was a student talking out of turn. "We followed approved geotechnical recommendations." "That was before the adjacent excavation lowered the water table," I said. "The soil mechanics change when engineers over-model," he interrupted. More laughter. My chest felt hot. Not angry, not yet. Just exposed. "I'm recommending additional reinforcement before we continue vertical framing," I finished. Gregory leaned back in his chair. "Noted," he said flatly. Then he turned to the developer. "We are on schedule. Foundation performing within tolerance." And just like that, my presentation was gone. After the meeting, he caught up with me in the hallway. "You're talented, Bram," he said quietly. "But you don't get to derail momentum because you're uncomfortable with risk." "I'm not uncomfortable," I replied. "I'm concerned." He smiled. "Stay in your lane." Back to the present. Now the lane was shifting under 38 stories of steel and glass. A junior engineer burst into the conference room. "Wind load is amplifying it," she said. "Sensors show drift in the elevator core." The inspector's face hardened. "Is the building safe?" That word. Safe. Gregory hesitated, and that hesitation was louder than any alarm. I stepped forward. "The structure isn't collapsing," I said carefully, "but it is experiencing differential settlement consistent with the scenario I documented." There it was. Documented. The word hung in the air. Gregory's eyes snapped to mine. "You're implying this was predictable?" I met his gaze for the first time that morning. "Yes." Silence. Somewhere outside the glass walls of that conference room, workers were evacuating floors. Radios crackled, elevators shut down. The entire skyline could see it, the slight, unnatural lean. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just wrong. And the worst part, it didn't have to happen. The inspector closed his folder. "Construction is suspended effective immediately." You could feel the money bleeding out of the room. Millions per day. Gregory's jaw tightened. "This is temporary," he insisted. "We'll stabilize." But stabilization meant investigation, and investigation meant emails, memos, meeting minutes, slides that had been laughed at. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt something heavier, Because I hadn't wanted to be right. I had begged to be wrong. As the room emptied, Gregory stopped beside me. "You realize," he said under his breath, "this could ruin everyone." I swallowed. I tried to prevent that. For the first time since I'd known him, he didn't have a comeback. Outside, the skyscraper stood against the skyline, proud, gleaming, and unmistakably off, by just enough to change everything. And this was only the beginning, 3 weeks earlier. I knew it was going to be bad the moment Gregory didn't look at my slides. He was smiling before I even started. "I'll keep this concise," I said, trying to steady my breathing. "Recent soil borings show increased moisture retention in the southeast quadrant. If load transfer continues at this rate..." Gregory leaned back and folded his hands. "Bram," he said lightly, "are you suggesting we redesign the foundation mid-project?" "I'm suggesting reinforcement before we add 8 more floors." The developer frowned. "How much delay?" 2 weeks, maybe 3. The room shifted. Gregory didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "We hired Bram for structural modeling," he said, glancing around the table. "Not worst-case fiction." A few quiet laughs. My ears burned. "It's not fiction," I said. "The settlement projection increases exponentially if groundwater shifts." Gregory clicked his pen. "Every building settles. That's construction, not catastrophe." He turned to the room, not me. "We are not panicking investors because someone ran a nervous simulation." That word. Nervous. I felt it land. "I'm not nervous," I said carefully. "I'm responsible." The air got tight. Gregory's smile faded just a little. "Responsibility also means understanding scale," he replied. "We don't stall a skyline project over theoretical discomfort." He clicked the remote. My slide disappeared. Just like that. Meeting adjourned. In the hallway afterward, I caught up to him. "You didn't even let me finish." He stopped walking. "You're young, Bram," he said quietly. "You think being right means being dramatic." "This isn't drama." "It is when you make it one." He stepped closer. "You want to grow here? Learn this. Confidence builds cities. Doubt slows them down." Then he straightened his jacket. "Stay in your lane." And he walked away. I stood there, holding a tablet full of data that no one wanted to see. 3 weeks later, the lane moved. It wasn't dramatic. No alarms, no panic. Just a thin, crooked line running across the basement slab. I crouched beside it while the concrete crew packed up for the day. "Shrinkage?" one of them asked. "Maybe," I said, "but shrinkage doesn't show directional stress like that." I pulled out my laser level. 2 millimeters, southeast corner, exactly where my model predicted. Upstairs, Gregory was giving a tour to investors, talking about vision and bold design. Down here, the floor was whispering something else. I documented the crack, took photos, logged the measurement, sent another email. No emotion, just numbers. His reply came 10 minutes later. "Normal settlement. Do not escalate. Do not escalate." I stared at the words longer than I should have. Because this wasn't ignorance anymore. He saw the same data I did. And he was choosing pride. That night, rain started falling. And I couldn't shake the feeling that the building was listening. I bring my concerns to Elaine, a senior geotechnical consultant. She runs independent settlement modeling. Her face tightens. "If the southeast corner gets saturated, this building won't settle evenly." I ask, "How bad?" She pauses. "Enough to tilt." I draft a detailed risk memo. Attach data, simulations, recommendations, CC the developer. Gregory replies within minutes. "Foundation performing within design tolerance, no changes required." And, privately, "You're overreacting, stop creating fear." Basement slab inspection, small crack near a load column. Gregory waves it off as shrinkage, but the survey markers show 2 millimeters differential shift. I document everything, quietly. The developer pushes hard. Luxury pre-sales already marketed. Gregory tells the room, "We cannot delay because someone is anxious." People stop sitting near me in meetings. I'm becoming the problem. Elevator contractor flags alignment drift. Gregory blames contractor measurement. But my internal model now predicts accelerated settlement if rainfall hits. Storm season forecast. Heavy. 3 days of rain. Adjacent construction site pumps groundwater aggressively. My phone vibrates at 2:17 a.m. Monitoring alert triggered. I log in. Numbers don't stabilize, they climb. Emergency call at dawn. The southeast corner has sunk more than projected. Laser level confirms measurable lean. Gregory stands frozen. City building department notified. The project is halted. Gregory immediately says, "We followed engineering guidance." He implies modeling error. He hints I overstated then undercalculated. It's subtle, strategic. My stomach drops. The developer launches an internal audit. Gregory is charismatic, confident. He frames me as overly cautious but ultimately responsible for monitoring. He positions himself as design visionary. I realize something terrifying. He's setting me up. I pull archived meeting records. One of my original presentation slides, the one showing worst-case tilt projection, is missing from the official minutes. But I have time-stamped backups. At home, insurance investigators arrive. They ask who flagged foundation risks. Gregory says, there were no formal objections. I quietly forward my memo chain to legal, not publicly, just professionally. Paper trail intact. A local business reporter publishes, internal disagreement over foundation design. Someone leaked that concerns were raised. Gregory calls me into his office. Did you talk to the press? I didn't, but now the spotlight is on internal decisions. Elaine confesses privately. Gregory pressured her to soften language in her preliminary soil email before final submission. She didn't change numbers, but she toned down wording. Now it looks less urgent. This changes everything. City forms an external structural review panel. They subpoena project communications, full transparency required. Gregory's confidence starts to crack. Board engineers run settlement back analysis. Their independent model matches my original projections, almost exactly. One board member asks, who recommended reinforcement before construction? All eyes turn to me. Developers calculate cost of remediation, tens of millions. Gregory's design firm contract includes a liability clause if negligence is proven. Suddenly, this isn't reputation damage. It's financial devastation. Gregory confronts me privately. You're destroying this company. I respond calmly. No, the soil did. For the first time, he looks scared. Formal findings meeting. Review board presents evidence. Clear timeline. Bram warned, risk documented, reinforcement recommended, overruled by lead architect room silent. Gregory attempts one last defense. It falls flat. Before official ruling, Gregory tries to negotiate quietly. He offers to share responsibility, suggests we both step down. I refuse. Truth matters. Foundational risk was identified and dismissed without adequate technical basis. Gregory is removed from project leadership, his firm placed under investigation. Insurance refuses full coverage due to documented internal warnings. His authority collapses. The tower no longer leaned. Not visibly. Not to the naked eye. But it had changed. And so had everyone inside it. I stood in the same conference room where Gregory once shut off my slides. The glass wall had been replaced, stress fracture during the tilt. A subtle reminder. This time, no one interrupted me. Underpinning phase 1 is complete, I said, clicking to the next slide. Load redistribution has stabilized the southeast quadrant. Settlement variance is within safe tolerance. No laughter, no folded arms, just attention. The new oversight director, Ms. Cartwright, nodded slowly. And you're confident? She asked. I didn't rush the answer. Yes. The word carried weight now. Because it was tested. 6 weeks earlier, the board removed Gregory Voss from project leadership. Officially, it was pending investigation. Unofficially, everyone knew. His firm's name was quietly taken off the site signage. No announcement, no spectacle, just absence. I didn't celebrate, because this was never about revenge. It was about truth and foundations. After the stabilization plan was approved, Ms. Cartwright called me into her office. "You were the only one who documented everything," she said plainly. "I was doing my job." "You were protecting the building." She studied me for a moment. "We need someone leading structural oversight from here forward. Someone who won't blink when it's uncomfortable." I knew what she was asking before she finished. The same project, the same tower, different authority. "Are you offering me the role?" I asked. "Yes." I thought about Gregory standing at the head of the table. The applause he soaked in. The way he made certainty look effortless. Then I thought about that red screen. About 2.4 degrees. About the crack in the basement. "I'll accept," I said. The first day I walked the site as lead structural authority, the crew treated me differently. Not louder, not friendlier, just steadier. Respect feels quieter than ego. I stopped at the southeast corner, the place where it all began. Steel reinforcement now wrapped beneath the foundation like a brace around a healed bone. One of the younger engineers approached me. "Sir," he said hesitantly, "what made you push back when everyone else let it go?" I looked at the skyline stretching beyond the scaffolding. "My job isn't to impress the sky," I said. "It's to respect the ground." He nodded slowly, and I saw something shift in him. The kind of shift that lasts longer than buildings. Later that afternoon, I received a forwarded email. Gregory's firm was restructuring. Major clients withdrawing, insurance disputes escalating. His name wasn't attached to the project anymore. It was strange. For months, he felt untouchable. Now he was quiet. I closed the email without replying, because the real victory wasn't watching him fall. It was standing where he once stood, without becoming him. That evening, I stayed late. The sun hit the glass facade just right, turning it gold against the city. The tower stood straight, engineered, corrected, stabilized. I placed my hand against the concrete wall, solid, earned. 3 weeks ago, I was told to stay in my lane. Now they asked me to define it. And tomorrow, there would be a final board announcement. Public, official, and irreversible. Months later. Reinforced underpinning complete. Tower stabilized. At reopening briefing, a reporter asks, "What prevented total failure?" The developer answers, "An engineer who refused to stay silent." I stand at the base of the tower. It no longer leans, and neither do I. Gregory's firm quietly dissolves months later. No shouting, no gloating, just this. They laughed at the foundation warning. Now they build on my word.